Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. As in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing the topic of recognizing spirit communication. Also in this week's show, we have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications through. And then later on in this episode, we have this week's forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. So let's crack on. As I say, we're going to be discussing the topic today of recognizing spirit communication. So let's start at the very beginning with this subject matter. First of all, in order to recognize that you're experiencing or receiving spirit communication, you need to have a firm grasp on your own vibration. And what I mean by that is that you need to know yourself emotionally, mentally, physically. And you need to have this understanding. I like to call this the baseline technique. And it's something that I always advise my students to do. And this is where we just take a moment, maybe a minute, 2 minutes maximum, just to be quiet and observe how we're feeling emotionally. What are we feeling with our physical body? Any aches and pains? Anything that's uncomfortable for you? Any irritations? And then what are your dominant thoughts in your mind at the point of you observing these things? And just make a mental note of all of these areas that you've been focusing on. And then that will give you something to work with, so a reference point, if you will. So anything other than those things that you're experiencing will be information either from your higher self, a spirit guide, a spirit communicator, or somebody else's energy that you're picking up on, or potentially energy in an environment. So it's good to know yourself to have that reference point. So once you have established that, then we can start to observe the different situations that we face in our life, and we can observe life slightly differently than perhaps we have done before. Maybe you've been working too hard and you're rushing around and, you're not open to receiving information because you're too busy and you're cluttering your life with too much information that you're not noticing the subtleties that spirit use in order to communicate with you. And that's something I want to touch upon, actually. Spirit information and their communications are very subtle. And this is why you hear that a lot of sensitive souls, sensitive people, are more likely to pick up on these nuances of information that spirit leave, because you're more vulnerable, shall we say. Vulnerable is probably a wrong term, but, you're more sensitive to understanding and observing them. But understand this, that spirit, in my experience, will always use the path of least resistance in order to bring forward communications with you and to share and convey messages that they wish to share with you. Now, this can occur in many ways. It's on an individual basis, but, depending upon how your vibration is upon that day or the time that they're communicating with you, it's not necessarily that they always communicate via showing you images in your mind. It could be audibles. It could be anything. Depends how you're vibrating on that day. So just bear that in mind if you're wanting to receive and observe information from spirit. But like I say, they will use the path of least resistance. So just to give you a rough example, a random example, say for example that you're a very sensitive soul and you're very empathic. You pick up on emotions and you get triggered and you feel emotions when you connect with other people. You feel what they're feeling and what they're experiencing. And this seems to be a reoccurring theme that happens with you and your sensitivity. Then obviously spirit are going to work with that, because that will be the easiest point in which they can bring their communications to you. And so with doing this, they may overlay an emotion that's overwhelming, that's unmistakable, you can't shake it off, and it's there with you. It's hanging around with you all day. And if you've done the baseline check that I suggested earlier during the course of that day, maybe the start of that day before you even leave your home, and you understand this shift in your emotional vibrations there, then obviously this potentially will be a spirit communicator wanting to share their information with you and have some form of communication with you. And so if it is an emotion, then this is where you as an individual observe that feeling. Does that emotion remind you of a situation that maybe you've experienced before in your life? And does that take you back to that part of your life? Then review that. Let those visions, those experiences come up to the forefront of your mind and just allow that to play out. And the reason I say this is because that emotion that you felt has triggered that vision, has triggered that time in your life, and there will be some sort of message within that. So observe, allow yourself to go through that situation again in your mind, observe what happened there, and then notice the most prominent elements of that vision. And these prominent elements of that vision will be the information that spirit are wanting to convey to you. So if you can take a mental note, please do that. If you're like me and you have a very short attention span, then you may need to take notes by putting them pen to paper, writing them down, or even storing them in your phone there so that you can review at a later date. And maybe at that point, you can then put the pieces together and understand actually, oh, that's what that meant. That's why I got that feeling. You'll get that eureka moment there where all of the pieces start to come together. And potentially with all of those key points in that vision that you've unpicked, it will remind you of either a family member, a friend, or loved one in the world of spirit. Potentially anyway, and then you will know that that communicator, based upon that, is the communicator that brought that information through. Maybe the message in that was just to let you know that they're around, and that was the easiest way that they could do that, by putting those emotions on you, which triggered a memory to a certain time frame in your life that maybe you shared with this individual, or even reminded you of this individual in spirit because they went through something similar and you recall them telling you about it. You know, again, it sounds complex, but really from a spiritual or a spirit's point of view, like I say, they're going to use that path of least resistance. So that is a little example of how they can do that. You know, they can use any other one of your senses, you know, your hearing, taste, smell, touch, temperature, thoughts, overwhelming thoughts in your mind there. They can use any of those in order to convey a message to you there. So it's good to know yourself, and it's good to have that vantage point of doing that, and then also have an understanding and an appreciation for your own physical senses there, because this is how spirit are going to communicate with you in some way. I'd like to draw your attention also to random, repetitive thoughts in your mind. Now, you can be working away, busy working, doing projects, this, that, and the other. And throughout the course of that day, you keep getting these thoughts that pop in your mind. You have no intention of thinking of them, and you don't know why they've arrived in your head. At this stage, it's I would say, it's to your advantage that you observe them. Don't push them down. Don't ignore them. Take a note, write them down on paper, put them in your phone. And if you're busy and you can't deal with it right then, right there, then this is where you go back and you assess that information. Potentially that thought, whatever it happens to be, if it's a random word that pops in your head, then that will have some bearing or some sort of link with either spirit bringing it in, and they want to draw that to your attention. Maybe it's something that's happening in your life that you're overlooking because, like I say, you potentially could be too busy and you keep getting this random thought or word in your head. And that is the message that you need to maybe steer you out of that direction, steer you out of harm's way so that your life can run more smoothly with ease and grace. And spirit, like I say, will use that method, that repetitive thought, bringing it in your mind until you get the message. And, so you may have that in your head all day long, could be a week, until you recognize, oh, hang on a minute, why do I keep hearing, what does that word even mean, for example? You may even have to research the word, in a dictionary. But there will be some bearing on why you've got that message. And like I say, spirit will continue to keep delivering that to you until you actually put the pieces together and make sense of the information that they're sharing with you. Doesn't necessarily have to come from a loved one or friend or family in the world of spirit. Could actually be your higher self. It could actually be your spirit guide or your spirit team that's been trying to get your attention for quite some time, and they're wanting to steer you out of harm's way by giving you this message. So, just have an open mind. And I think that is part of the process. Have an open but inquiring mind. Also, there will be many of you that are listening to this right here, right now, that wake up in the morning, and from the minute you wake up in the morning, you've got a song in your head, and you can hear it as if you're wearing headphones and it's playing out in your head. Maybe you're hearing the prominent chorus on a loop in your mind, and you can't shake it out of your head. You may even find yourself doing your duties throughout the course of the day, and you keep whistling it, or you keep singing that chorus line over and over again, and you can't seem to get rid of it. You don't know why. And many of you may feel the inclination to actually research the song on the internet and listen to it, so that you can quench that musical thirst, so to speak. But what you'll find is, like I say, spirit will be bringing this in, or your higher self or your spirit guide or friends and family in the world of spirit, again, to get your attention, to convey a message to you. And potentially this can come through it can have various qualities to it. And what I mean by that is that the song, first of all, contains lyrics. So first of all, I would encourage you to research those lyrics, read through them without singing them in your head, so to speak. Read through them. There'll be a message within that. Maybe it's the title of the band or the group or the artist that wrote the song, and then it could be the title of the song as well. That could be the message. But read the lyrics. You will find an insight within that. And also on top of that, the actual song itself, obviously music is made up of frequencies, different notations, tempos, and just emotions there. And it's all packed in, all of that information into musical form there. So there's a vast degree of healing vibrations within that song. So I would always encourage you to listen to that song the full way through, as well as researching the lyrics, because potentially your vibration needs that energetic boost, that upliftment, that healing at that moment in time. And potentially that's why you're hearing that song in your head, because you need that shift, that energy boost, that healing. Also, the song, as we know, music can play a brilliant role in our timeline, because we can associate certain styles of music to an era in our life. Like for me, a lot of my favorite era is the 80s and 90s. And as soon as I hear particular songs, they trigger a memory related to the time I first heard that song, and related to the people, the experiences that I had as well. So that will potentially trigger a message within you that triggers those thought processes in your mind, which potentially lead you to either that spirit communicator that was around at that moment in time in your life that's wanting to convey a message to you, or potentially the situation that you went through in that period of your life. Potentially, a lot of those may be traumas, hurts, or attachments that you associated with that situation or people in that particular period of your life there. Potentially, you're hearing this song because the frequencies interwoven in the song are actually cutting those chords to that era in your life, helping you to reframe it and change the way that you vibrate in your now moment consciousness. Now, I know that's a lot to undertake, but potentially that is what is happening. So songs can play an amazing role in spirit bringing forward communication to us. So the next time, I believe people call them earworms now. So the next time you have an earworm or a song in your head, write it down, research the song lyrics, listen to the song in its whole entirety, and then observe how you feel after you've done that. And what have you learned from that experience? There's a lot to learn through music and lyrics. Spirit use this very often with me. Even when I'm working with clients, they'll bring songs in and that song will have so much resonance, and the lyrical content will as well. So yes, never ignore the song in your head there. Also, being drawn to a photo or an item belonging to a loved one that is in spirit. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, if you're going to, a friend or family, or even your own home, and you have items or photos, and all of a sudden, you normally don't give them a second glance. You're too busy. Life is all too consuming for you. And then one particular moment of one day, you're drawn to either a photo of that loved one in spirit, and you feel inclined to pick that photograph up. And you look at the photo of the loved one that's in spirit. And the minute you do, you feel this energy burst around you, this change in vibration around you, where you may start and feel this overwhelming sense of love and your heart chakra opening up, this beautiful unconditional love enveloping you. You may actually observe that you're getting a tingling sensation. I would describe this as an electrostatic tingling sensation. So do you remember way back when we used to have the old TVs and we used to turn the TV off, and the static electricity around the screen at the time, I don't believe they do this nowadays with the flat screens, but they used to do in the old days. You would place your hand in front of that screen when it was turned off, and you'd feel this magnetic tingling charge of energy around the screen. Well, you'll feel that around all of your physical body, moving right from the top of your head, moving down your spine, and it lasts for brief split seconds. But you'll be aware of it, nevertheless, when you're looking at the photo of your loved one that you're inspired to look at, or potentially holding an item of clothing or something that belonged to them. You may feel this sense of connection as you do that. Again, this will be spirit. This will be their intentions for you to link in with them, because they want to let you know how much they love and appreciate you, how much they're around you, giving you that guidance, that inspiration. So just be aware of these things, just observe them, question them, have that curious mind, but don't block them. There's always a message. There's always a method in the madness, so to speak. Also, like I say, I've said this earlier, I gave the example about your emotions. Now, our emotions, when you're overlaid with a completely alternative emotion, one that you would never even give the time of day to, can be a brilliant catalyst for spirit to trigger a memory associated with that emotion. So again, it's all about observing yourself, getting to know you first. And then when you're familiar with yourself, anything other than that will be information exchange that's wanting to bring forward some form of communication with you. So do be aware of that. Many of you will have had this wonderful, magical experience where you're out and about. You could even be sat at home, or it could be anywhere, there's a vast amount of scenarios I could give you, but out of the blue, completely random, there is a white feather that either lands on you, lands on the vehicle that you're driving, lands in front of you, and it comes from nowhere. And there's no actual source, there's no birds around, there's no windows open if you're in the home, you haven't been having pillow fights, so there's no feathers flying about anyway. And all of a sudden, this random white feather, like a downy feather, appears out of nowhere. I always see this as a message from the universe, from your angels, just letting you know that you're not alone. They have your back. They're here to help and support you. And this is confirmation of that, physical confirmation, tangible confirmation. So the next time you are aware of these random feathers, don't take them for granted. Don't get the hoover out and hoover it up. Maybe take something I do as I take a photo of them. Again, and when we do that now with the electronic devices, it date stamps them, it time stamps them as well. So we have that backed up as evidence. And obviously it's up to you what you do with that feather. But they're very precious things when they come into our lives there as well. Also, Spirit will bring forward communication, again, to let us know that they're around. And they'll use symbolisms. And they'll use signs as well to let you know that they're around. And I've probably shared this story quite a few times, but it still amazes me, and it still happens to this very day. And this is my example of me experiencing symbols and signs from a loved one in spirit. As many of you know, my dad passed away 11 years ago now, and it doesn't seem like that at all. We miss him tremendously. His energy was absolutely incredible. Only one of him, if you know what I mean. He was a unique soul. Anyway, my dad, when he passed away, he was buried, and his headstone is heart-shaped. And also on his headstone, my dad was a musician and a conductor as well. And on his headstone, he had musical notes and a treble clef. And a treble clef is the musical symbol that you will see at the beginning of a musical composition. Okay. And I say that because this is the evidence that I'm talking about. As you know, I have my own studio and I record things. And of course, we all have electronic devices that need charging. So I have the charging cables as well, and extension cables. Just to add to this, my dad was also an electrician. Okay, so I throw that in the mix. So with saying all of those things, my dad, when he's around and he lets us know that he is around, he manipulates wires, either headphone cables, any sort of wires, electrical cables, charging cables, and he'll put them into a shape, even laces, shoelaces, anything like that. And the shape that he brings forward is a heart shape. And obviously we can connect that with his headstone. And also another shape that he brings forward is a treble clef, which is the musical symbol, like I said, at the beginning of a composition, again associated with my dad's headstone. And the fact that my dad was an electrician as well, and he's presenting these symbols using electronic wiring or headphone or audio cable there, that just, for me, it just cements that evidential information. But I don't take this for granted. I always take a photograph when I see the messages from my dad. I always connect in with my dad. I speak out and I say, hello, Dad. Oh, thank you for sending me that. That's beautiful. How can I help? Do you want me to know anything? Do I need to know anything? Would you like to tell me anything? And I just observe from that moment onwards. And I notice any songs, like I say, that appear in my head, any random words that appear in my head, I write them down, any emotions. And if I have the time and I'm not working with a client, I may feel inclined to do a little bit of automatic writing when I see these signs with my dad, and just allow him to blend his essence with me and bring forward his direct communication through the form of automatic writing. And it's a beautiful tool to use if you ever want to connect in with a loved one there and allow them to have that center stage with no interference from yourself. But I feel that's a show in itself where we can address automatic writing on a deeper level and the benefits of doing that. But so I want to encourage you to watch out for these signs, because they're being left everywhere, right under your nose in most cases. And because we're not being present, we're too much in our heads. We're thinking about what we're having for dinner that evening. We're also thinking about bills we've got to pay and jobs we've got to do and family, that we're not being present and we're not seeing these signs from Spirit. Yet they're always there. They always show up. So if you can, ground your energy, anchor your energy, observe all of your senses, and that will bring you back into present moment consciousness, where you will, at that level, begin to see these signs that I'm talking about from your loved ones, from your spirit guides and your higher self there. Angel numbers is another amazing tool that will keep showing up in your life. Whenever you see a number, don't just disregard it. Write that number down, research it on the internet, angel number meaning for. And then the reason you do that is because there'll be a paragraph of information, a message, if you will, a reading, if you will, for you. And that's why you saw that number. Also, you may notice number plates on vehicles. And nowadays, number plates obviously contain words and numbers there. And some of the words are private number plates. And maybe you spot one, and the wording on that number plate is exactly what you're going through at that moment in time. Or maybe you've been talking about something that you see on a number plate and you'll be like, wow, how bizarre is that? Synchronicities, I would call that, but also potentially that Spirit are listening to the conversations. It's just to let you know that they're around you. If that word is, again, really prominent, then maybe research the meaning of that word if you don't know it already, or associate that word with something that's happening in your life at this moment in time that needs your attention. I've also got to say that overhearing conversations. Now, we've all done this when we've gone to get our weekly shopping, or we've had to go into the centre of town to buy our bits and bobs, and we walk by complete strangers, and in earshot of us, they're having a conversation. And there's several key words that pop out in that conversation as we walk by them. And we walk by them at the right place at the right time in order for us to hear those key words. And those key words that we hear are either relatable to the very thing that we're going through in our life, or maybe we've been considering to change within our life. And the reason why I say this, I'm not encouraging people to be nosy and be a tab hanger, as we call them. But I am encouraging people to be observant. And then, just notice these little nuances that Spirit are bringing in, these communications, because they will have manipulated that conversation, as some form, so that you could be there at that precise moment in time in order to hear those key words that were being mentioned. It really blows my mind, the level of effort and synchronization that takes part behind the scenes in order to make our lives flourish and grow, and also for us to receive messages from the world of the unseen there. It just blows my mind. So do watch out for that as well. Another obvious one that Spirit are communicating with you is objects moving, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, objects vanishing. And there's nobody there, only yourself, and all of a sudden the objects are vanishing. And then they reappear in an absolutely random place where you would never even contemplate putting them. Yet you find them there, and nobody else has been in the vicinity of that property or that area to have done that. And I would certainly suggest that this is Spirit trying to get your communication. They can bring objects in. They call that an apport from the world of the unseen and manifest it into this dimension. They can also dematerialize objects, like I've said, and move them and make them reappear in a random location. So again, this is Spirit and what they can do. Just being mindful of the actual object that has gone missing. Again, that could in itself represent some information they want to share with you. Could be, say, house keys or keys, for example. If your keys went missing, the most obvious example I could give you, and then they reappear in the most random location. Maybe the message in that is that there's a new door opening up in your timeline, in your life, of opportunity. And you have the choice to unlock that door, open the door, and walk through it. So the key is you. You make the choices, and the key that's maybe gone missing and coming back, that is a message. It's a long way of giving that information, I know, but as I say, Spirit will use the path of least resistance. So if that's the easiest port of call to get that information to you, then they're obviously going to use that as well. Also, watch out for hearing taps and bangs in wherever you happen to be. Obviously, I wouldn't just assume everything is spirit or ghosts or paranormal. I would always do the checks. I would always do reference checks before I assign any of these taps and bangs to communication from spirit. But once you've done that, what is interesting, if you can form some sort of direct communication, intelligent communication, where you ask a question to the energy in the room and you get them to bang or tap as a response for a yes or for a no. And that has some amazing results if you're doing it under the correct conditions and, you're being serious and not making a mockery of the experience. You'll get some marvelous results by doing that. So maybe record it with an audio recorder so you can record the experience, and then you can actually review the information exchange a little bit later on when you're not as excitable as you were in that experience, so to speak. One last thing is seeing colours, flashes of lights, orbs out of the corner of your eye, or even just noticing, just like light rods. I've seen quite a few of those, red, ultramarine colours, white, just flashing in really, really quickly. If you see them, obviously, I would always recommend that you debunk it first. And if it doesn't stand up to any of that, or, should I say, if it stands up to all of that, all that debunking, then at this point you can start to follow up with the line of questioning. Right, so why have I seen that? Okay, Spirit, if this is you that's showing me that colour, what do I need to know at this moment in time? And maybe ask questions like that. And then observe yourself, monitoring your thoughts, songs in your head, emotions, feelings, repetitive situations. Look for angel numbers, as that will be their response. Again, using that path of least resistance. So I hope this conversation has given you something to consider in terms of being more present, more observational in your daily lives, because the world of the unseen is continually around us and is continually trying to get our attention and communicate with us in order to let us know that they're still there and that they love us and that they're there with us on our life's journey, but also they're there to help us by conveying these messages to make life a little bit more easier for us, so that we can, rather than resisting changes, we can go with the flow and move to the next chapter within our lives with ease and grace. We're now moving into the next segment of this show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel to bring their communications and wisdoms through. But slightly ahead, before we do that, I would like to check in with you, see how your week has been, and also see if you notice any substantial changes occurring in your life. I know I certainly have. On an energetic level there, I've been spending more time out in nature. I've also noticed that this has been clearing my mind, because my mind felt absolutely ready to pop with all of that sensory overload and all the information that it was holding. And so nature was the ultimate tonic that enabled me to release that and to feel fresh and brand new again. Also, I've been feeling the urge with artistic endeavors over these last few weeks, and I've been finding myself being more musically creative. And this information and this inspiration has just been flowing through me. And, it's been very healing in itself, just allowing that to occur. So I've really enjoyed having that interaction with the energy flowing through. And also with me, I've been seeing lots of different flashing colours of light there. I believe that this is spirit and energy around me. I've also noticed things out the corner of my eye. I've even noticed spirit people more prominent now than ever coming into my home. And I saw one the other day there, and I just saw like a black and white moving image, and it looked like an overcoat of, I would say it was like child height. So probably somebody that was about 10 years old wearing an overcoat, which would take you right back in time, wouldn't it, with that fashion sense? So I've been experiencing that, and it's been tremendous to go through. Anyway, we're going to move into this next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the channeling.
Good morning. My name is Timothy, and I've come here to talk to you about some values that are changing in each and every one of your lives. These values are social etiquette. These values are also people's energy changing, and so they're no longer connected to various forms of etiquette. But what we're referring to by stating these facts to you today is the fact that people are finding their own lane. People are finding their own tracks on their vibration. And in doing so, they seem to be self-consumed by this journey and this road. We will tell you one thing for this is the fact that people do need to listen to their inner calling, as the majority of their life they have ignored that pull, that calling that is taking them to the next level of their life. And so in one essence, we're pleased that they are listening and employing these distinctive disciplines to facilitate their life flowing in a better direction. However, there has been a lot of social nuances that have been disregarded as a point of going through these various twists and turns on your life. And what we're talking about is people being disconnected from one another, people losing social etiquette, people losing the ability to communicate openly and freely, and instead are finding it much easier not to instigate any form of interaction. And we're talking to everybody that's listening to this. In some part of your life, you'll notice that this is the case, where you are resisting that urge to connect with others, whether you realize you know these individuals or they're complete strangers. You're finding that your own peace serves you higher. Well, in actual fact, that is true to an extent, but what we would like to encourage you to do is to reach out to complete strangers and to share your light and to be that loving influence within their experience of their own enchanted chapter. And you do this by talking to them and getting to know them and asking questions and making them feel validated, making them feel special and appreciated. We would like to encourage you all to take this on board and make this part of your journey, as you need to share the light with as many people as possible, particularly at these changing times where it is becoming a governing factor, quite literally, where you are being divided in order to be manipulated, to be ruled. And when you go against that grain, you come together in communities, whether you realize you know those individuals or not. On an energetic level, you will feel their calling, you will feel their vibration. So what we're encouraging you to do today is to reach out to a stranger and communicate with them in any way that you can to make them feel validated and heard. Do excuse me, we are making some adjustments with the vehicle. We are moving into another communicator in one moment, but before I go, I just wanted you to take a part of your day to communicate to an absolute stranger and notice how uplifted they feel and how uplifted you feel. It's certainly what is required at this moment in time. So thank you for listening. I'm going to pass you over to another communicator now. My name is Grace, and I've come here to talk to you today about loving one and all, including the animals and including the plants and fauna. The word love is bandied around quite willy-nilly in such a way that it's considered just a word. And we're saying to you the word love is more than that. It contains a frequency, a vibration. And we would like to encourage you to share that frequency and vibration of pure love with others around you. We're not just talking about the human race, we're talking about the animal kingdom, as we've previously noted. We want you to interact with things and bond with things. Whether this is plants or trees, we want you to bond with them. Because a lot of you are taking them for granted, and in fact, they themselves do bring forward lots of healing unconditionally, and they help to stitch all of this society and all of the situations together through the bonding of love. We would like you to follow and trust that inner calling that you all have. When it comes to connecting with animals and nature, a lot of you have dimmed that light and that sparkle to the fact that you are ignoring it and you are favoring electronic devices ahead of connecting with the ultimate connection of nature. Our message here to you today is to get out and about into nature more so than what you are doing. It doesn't matter whether it's 5-10 minutes or if you can spend a week or a day in nature. The benefits of this energetic interaction between you and nature will be tremendous, and it will shift you out of your doldrums, feeling like you're stuck and treading water. Because nature is a tonic that helps you to flourish and grow in miraculous ways just by being present within it. The next time you are in nature, we would like to recommend that you relax into it and you slow your breathing down in order to align with nature and be aware of your true nature. You'll feel the weight and the heaviness of all the energies you've been carrying around with you that aren't for you to be holding on to, that do not serve you in any way, shape or form. You will notice those energies leaving you, leaving your vessel. You'll feel lightheaded, you'll feel lighter in your physicality, and also you'll notice there will be a desire of self-love and appreciation that rises to the surface, where you do not need anybody else's validation of you just being you. You will be happy, you'll be balanced, and you will be in alignment. So regardless of what society is telling you to do, keeping you busy with work and bureaucracy and paperwork, keeping you small and tiny so you're not able to think for yourself, we encourage you. Nature is the tonic that you need. Whether this is out in the countryside amongst the wooded forests, or if you're around a river, stream, or even the ocean. Whatever your choice is, we encourage you that you do more of it, as it is an essential ingredient to make you thrive and also expand on an energetic and emotional and physical level. And let's talk about the physical element of this. When you connect and be in one with nature, you'll notice a significant change in your physical body, your health. You'll have a radiance about your skin. You'll have a youthful appearance. And also you'll notice that your respiratory and your circulation in the body will be encouraged. You'll also notice that there will be no element or space for disease to live within the physical body when you make nature a part of your weekly medicine. We hope this has given you something to consider the next time you feel that urge and calling to get among nature, as it's not just the physical element, it's the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual that you will be benefiting from. Thank you so much for listening. I send you my love, and I look forward to coming through at some point in the near future. God bless and goodbye for now.
A very interesting communication there from the world of spirit. Interesting to hear their observations that our values are changing in our life, and we also need to find our own way rather than, following the paths of other people. But having said that, it was interesting with hearing them talking about us reconnecting with others and, just having those special interactions with others, as it's essential for our growth to make this connection, and don't allow ourselves to be manipulated by those in power, those with influence, as this is going to dilute our energy to our true essence there. And the second communicator, fantastic to hear about love and that we are all love, and we are neglecting the fact that we need to connect and show that love and respect for nature, plants and animals. And by doing this, it will enable us to share pure love, which indeed heightens vibrations of all those around us, including ourselves. And that interaction that we have by doing this is such a sacred act as well. Very interesting to hear about connecting, like I say, with animals and nature, and that we need to get out more in nature. And as this will help us to allow us to go with the flow more and connect with our own nature and get the healing and grounding that we need at this moment in time. So next we're going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's forecast reading. So sit back, relax, take some notes if you wish, and enjoy this week's forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday the 24th of March 2025. Now, those of you that watched me work before that will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers, and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot cards. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for this week's forecast reading. So this is your card for this week's forecast reading, and I'm now going to link into that vibration. First of all, I'm feeling some substantial changes entering your life. And what I mean by this is it's going to see you setting healthy boundaries around your time and your energy. And to some people that are involved with you will find this a little bit constricting, a little bit confusing, because you're taking your power back. And no longer are you going to be diluting that and giving far too much to others. You're going to get that balance right in your life. And to some people, this will feel a little bit unpleasant for them. But they will adapt. They will get used to it, as will you, linking in with your divine spark and your divine energy. The reason for this is that your energy and your focus is required to focus on other projects, on other tasks in hand. These tasks in hand will help you on your timeline, and they will take you to a new area within your soul's path, a positive area that you need to fulfill. And you'll feel this this calling, shall we call it, just not letting up. And so know that it's all happening in divine orchestration. What I also want to say is to look out for feeling a little bit lethargic, but in this case in the arms, feeling that tiredness sensation in the arms. Now, this is nothing medical. I feel what is happening here is that you're going through an ascension process, and there's something to do with the DNA reconfiguration changing, and your physical body and your energetic body are aligning with one another, and you're feeling that ache as that is taking place. What I also want to say to you, this week, if you can, set aside some time where you can have some time for yourself to get some clarity on your thoughts, because I do feel as though there's a lot of nonsense entering your mind, and you're going to be having these rogue thoughts about nothing that really matters about anything, and they're just going to be filling your head up with space. And this is because you need to ground your energy. You need to take some time out, even if this is away from other people, friends or family there, just to get your mind back on track so that you're being more present. And this is where you're going to get that inspiration that's going to help you moving forward throughout your timeline this week. I also feel as though there's going to be people around you that will be observing you differently. And what I mean by this is they will see that natural spark that you have, that quality, that high vibrational distinction around you. And with this being the case, you're going to have a natural magnetic sensation that's going to lure people towards you. And I mean this in the most positive sense of the word, because you're going to be bringing in a new tribe of friends and colleagues and associates that are high vibrational, that match your frequency, and that you feel comfortable and in alignment with. The sort of people where you can open up and share what you're going through. And they're not going to judge you. They're going to actually sit, listen, and appreciate you sharing that information with them. What I want to say as well, that this week we'll see you doing a little bit more exercise than perhaps you have been doing in these past few weeks. And this is because you'll be feeling more hyperactive. You'll need to move that energy and push it through the physical body. And this is a great way of doing that, also to help you with your physical, mental, and emotional health there, making sure that you're balanced on all of those facets. So let's turn over the card and see what the card has to say for you. Okay, so we've got the number 3 at the top. So I'd encourage you to research the angel number of number 3, as I feel that will give you some additional content and information. I'm hearing once, twice, 3 times a lady. So there's feminine energies entering your life this week. So watch out for that. Feels very positive, very inspiring, and very in alignment with who you are. If you're male or female, it doesn't matter. I just feel as though there's somebody coming in with that quality. Also, the top right hand side, we have a leaf there. So to me, that's indicating letting things go and being okay with that, and actually leaving situations in order to allow yourself to move into a new timeline and follow your gut instincts with that. Also, what I feel that represents is blossoming as well, rebirth, again, on your timeline there. So the bottom left-hand side, it says RG. Now, what my guides are telling me with this is registration. There's something to do with you actually taking your power back and registering with your true authentic self. And the way that you do this is by letting those old vibrations, those old thoughts and belief systems go. And there will be a grieving process when you go through this significant change in your life. However, once you move through this with ease and grace and trust the process, you'll notice that things are going to start to improve in your life in every angle. So watch that coming in. The bottom right, we have the Roman numeral of VIII, which to me indicates the number of 8. So if you can research the angel number of number 8, that will give you some additional content and information to add to this reading. Let's read the inscription at the bottom. It reads, "Do what you love, recognition for the highest quality of work, especially creative endeavors, being paid well for your craft, working well with others, an excellent reputation." I'm not going to add to that because I feel as though that's self-explanatory, but what I am going to do now is connect in with the card, and I'm seeing the colour of green around the edge of this card. To me, that indicates growth in your life. It indicates significant change coming in. And it's also telling you to trust your heart chakra. The emotions of your heart chakra are going to steer you in the right direction where you need to be. Also, green indicates going for it. Stop dithering. Stop procrastinating. Now it's time, when you see an opportunity, go for it without any hesitation whatsoever. Looking into the artwork of the card, we've got this divine feminine, there. And as you can see, she's in communication. She's on a mobile. She's not on a mobile phone. She's actually, I need my glasses. She's actually creating there. So it's talking about trusting that sensitivity of yours. And when you feel that inclination to be creative and let those energies flow through you, give them permission. Perhaps a lot of you watching this have had those artistic inclinations over these last few weeks, but you've used the excuse, I haven't got time, haven't got the materials, I haven't got money. Why would I want to be doing that? What's in it for me? Well, I'll tell you what's in it for you. Peace, serenity, and allowing that energy to flow through you rather than being stifled and trapped within you. This way you will have more energy by doing that. You'll have a clear space in your mind, and also you'll add to that magnetic quality that we spoke about earlier there. So allow yourself to be creative. It will benefit you and others around you. Also, this is telling you to actually tell people about what you're up to. Don't be afraid, because the more people you tell, the more people will be interested, and this is where the abundance and magnetic quality comes in as well. New windows of opportunity are opening up for you, but you've got to speak up about who you are and what you do there. Shed some light onto your life instead of hiding in the shadows. Now it's time to thrive. Also, I feel as though every angle there's an opportunity for you, should you choose to walk in that direction there. So that's what I'm picking up for this week's energy forecast reading. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting and sharing. If you've enjoyed this reading and you would like to help the work that I do, I have got a buy me a coffee link either above or below this video, and this is a virtual tip jar, so all of your generous donations will be gratefully received and used in accordance with the spiritual work that I do. Also, if you would like to book in with a one-to-one private reading with myself or any other of my services, you can click on the link in the description or on the description of the biogs on the social media, or you can go over to my website www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com to book in directly with me there. Join me every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on all of my social platforms and my website with my radio show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help. Have a fabulous week, everybody. Take care. God bless and bye for now. Well, there's lots to look forward to this week, isn't there? I'm really excited by the sounds of that, definitely. I hope it inspires and helps you. Anyway, thank you for tuning in this week. I do hope that the channeled information from Spirit and the Spirit-influenced information has helped you in some way, shape or form, and has helped you to change your perspectives and look at life slightly differently, and so that you can have a better experience in your timeline. I'd like to extend the invitation to you all. If you have any questions you would like to ask the show, or any topics that you would like us to cover within the show, then it would be fantastic to hear from you. So the way that you can contact me is by going over to my website, www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can email me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. And again, it would be wonderful to hear your feedback, and also any encounters that you've experienced of a paranormal, spiritual or self-help nature there, so that the listeners can benefit from your encounters. So I just want to wish you a wonderful week. Whatever it is you happen to be doing, do it with love, do it with light and self-respect. And also, I would say that this week, make sure that you're making time for yourself, because it's so easy to gift your time and energy to others to the point where you're almost facing burnout because you're giving too much. So allow yourself to experience balance in your life this week. And also, like it has been said many, many times by the channelers today, get yourself out in nature and enjoy that beautiful energetic interaction and connection with nature. And the benefits of this far supersede anything that any electronic device or anything of that nature can ever give you. So connect back with nature and notice the subtle differences within your life. Anyway, I wish you a wonderful week, and please join me same place, same time next Monday with From Beyond with myself, Glenn Boddice, at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to from beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to glennboddicespiritualmedium.com.